Welcome to my movie review of Thunderbolts, directed by Jake Schreier, starring Florence Pugh, David Harbour, fucking Sebastian Stan, Lewis Pullman, Julia Louise Dreyfus. Sorry, I'm not a big fan of her. Wyatt Russell. I'm gonna get a lot of shit for saying that. Ooh, she's in Seinfeld. I don't give a fuck. Wyatt Russell, Hannah Kamen. Is it Hannah Kamen? Yeah, Hannah Kamen. I was trying to make sure I got her name right. Um, and yeah, Thunderbolts. Plot of Thunderbolts is Yelena from Black Widow is basically doing a bunch of missions, but she's not really sure what her purpose is in life. She's struggling with depression. She's doing missions for this woman named Valentina, who basically gets her to go around doing shit. And she's just done and wants to change. She even goes to Red Guardian, played by David Harbour, who's her, adopted father, who's also a bit depressed because he's living at home, watching fucking old videos of when he was, the Red Guardian or whatever. And basically, they're talking and shit, and she's like, "Oh, I need a change. I'm quitting." Blah blah blah. He wants to work for Valentina, but all he is a limo driver. So all that's happening. Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier, is now working as a congressman, and not a very good one. And Julia Louise Dreyfus is kind of being like, as Valentina is kind of in trouble for shit that she's done or government stuff, and there's projects and stuff and whatever, and they think, oh, the Avengers aren't coming, blah blah blah. A lot of stuff is wrong, whatever. Anyway, um, on top of that, Valentina sends Elena to do this mission, and on the mission, she is basically sent to hunt down Ghost, who was in Ant-Man and the Wasp. She goes into this place where she ends up meeting John Walker from Falcon and Winter Soldier, and they fight, and then fucking Ghost comes out and fights, and then Taskmaster from Black Widow comes out and fights, and then Ghost shoots Taskmaster. Thank fucking God for that. And we are then introduced to a man named Bob, who vomits. And they realize they're in an incinerator. They were all kind of sent to kill each other. It was a death trap. But she doesn't know who Bob is, Valentina. Eventually, they have to try and team up to get out of this incinerator. They do. While Valentina and all of her fucking agent people are there, the three of them, Wyatt Russell as John Walker, Ghost, and Elena get away. Bob gets shot, captured, and experimented on, and he basically becomes the Sentry. Eventually, they run into Red Guardian, who's in a limo. They get chased down by these bad guys. Bucky comes and saves them, ties them up, and is like, we need your help. So they all form together because they want to figure out what Valentina's up to and what this Project Sentry thing is. They're also trying to figure out what's been happening to them, because anytime they get near Bob or Bob touches them, they get a traumatic memory from their past. And it's this thing called the Void, right? Which basically like disappears people and shit like that. So Valentina gets a bit of her past. She works on him. He becomes the Sentry. They go in to take Val down. They get the shit kicked out of them. They divide, and then eventually Bob gets taken over by the Sentry and tries to take over New York. Which at this point you're like, fucking hell. Will New York? Well, people in New York are probably like, yeah, I don't think we should live here anymore, considering we've had alien attacks twice, 2 alien attacks. Sorcerers doing crazy shit. Fucking people almost, fucking the sky breaking apart in No Way Home. Fucking craziness, man. Fucking craziness. I know this incident. Anyway, so they divide, they come together, save people, and have to stop Bob, and they actually face the past and their trauma, their memory. Bob faces his memories. Sorry, I'm just thinking of the fucking scene. I was on meth. That was great. And they come together. They save Bob out from the void. They stop him. Thunderbolts stop. They're about to confront Val. She tricks them into an entire public event and announces them as the new Avengers, which sets up Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars and conflict that's going to happen in those films. First post-credit scene is Red Guardian, comedic one on the Wheatos box. Second one is definitely a scene from Avengers Doomsday. Calling it now. I could be wrong. Have to wait till December 2026 if it's still coming out then, because we know what Marvel's like with pushing shit back, which isn't always a bad thing. So, yeah. That's the summary of Thunderbolts. What do I think of this film? This is one of the best fucking MCU films in a very, very long time. I thought this movie was phenomenal. I thought that it was, first of all, really well fucking acted. Florence Pugh in this movie is fucking great. This is my favourite that she's been of Yelena. And I actually thought she was one of the better things in Black Widow. She was hilarious in Black Widow. She was great in the Hawkeye TV show. And she's great in this. Opening scene, right away, she's just there like, there's something wrong with me. I thought it started when my sister died, but something broken. I thought it started when my sister died, but it's just an emptiness. Just a void, right? And it's just kind of like a great shot, and then she jumps off the building, right? Falls down, parachute goes, and she goes, maybe I'm just bored. And it's just like a great kind of narration open scene, like clock in, clock out, and then I love when she goes boo, and then fucking hits that guy, and then fucking a bunch of people are kind of coming at her, blah, 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 and she's shooting them, beating the shit out of them. It's like I clock in, clock out, shoots these fuckers, kind of gets into this lab. And it's just a badass fucking scene, and she's narrating it, and then it turns out she's narrating to this guy, and you get kind of a dark, sad side to her character. A dark, sad side to her character, but you also get, the funny side instantly. But it's not like the way MCU humor usually is, where it's like, a joke at the wrong moment. It's done really, really well. So she's like, I'm basically like a whatever, or a thing, and she goes, hey, you weren't listening, and all that. It's just like, you know what, you're useless to me unless you can get me in there. And then I just kind of like this whole sequence. She walks over to the hamsters like, hello, can you help me get in there? No, I didn't think so. And then this guy comes, she fucking fights him and shit. And he's like, did Valentina send you? Tell her she's making a mistake. And then it's a great shootout scene. And she goes, you guys can never aim for shit. Throws it. Accidentally shoots him. Like, oh my God. Oh no. Opens the thing. Gets the scanner on the face or whatever, walks out. It's like, assignment is, wait, hold on. She goes outside, assignment is, hold on. Building blows up. Assignment's complete. What's next? Right away, you're just like, okay, great humor, really fun action sequence, great practical effects. It's a great way to kind of get the movie started and introduce us to Yelena. I like it right away, it's like, okay, if you haven't seen Black Widow, it doesn't matter, because I have seen it, but it doesn't affect it, I think that there's just so many great moments in this film with Yelena. We learn even more about her, she has PTSD, obviously she's in the Red Room at one point. But there's moments where you'll get a flashback scene where where the women are there, like, you know, talking in Russian, and like they have to do all these kind of fucking exercises, and they got the gun, you know, the guns, you know, and they're like, well done, Yelena. And Yelena's just there talking in Russian and doing that as a child. And then she's kind of looking there, and she's like, well, you know, looking at her past self, and, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, and she's a kid. And then you see how bad her depression is, like, where she's even like pissed drunk, like depressed, like at a bathtub, and then like drinking. And she kind of walks up to herself, and she's like, wake up, whatever, wake up. And it's like this great horror-esque scene where she wakes up, grabs her, and it's like, "Grr." It's like, stop it, I'm gonna kill you. And then it's like, don't get off me. And then tries to fuck, you know, this other version of her tries to kill her, like, honestly, like it's her inner demons. And it's just a really well done scene. It's an enjoyable scene. It's dark. It's like, holy fuck, you know. And I like that this movie is not afraid to get fucking dark. Which I think a lot of the MCU films are lacking lately, with the exception of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Even the Fantastic Four First Steps has its moments, and obviously Spider-Man No Way Home. But MCU films have just been, let's be honest, shit for the past few years. Eternals is definitely a film I'm going to re-review, because the more I think about it, fucking hate that movie. It's boring as shit, and it's just bad. And then Thor: Love and Thunder, a terrible film. Just, you know, not fucking good. Anyway, but you get that, like, those moments are so fucking powerful, you know. And then there's moments where, like, she's like reliving, where like she stands near Bob, and she's reliving like a flashback of this girl going, Yelena, Yelena, and the girl is, they're talking in Russian, and she's like, kill her, you know. And then Yelena walks up, this other guy walks up, and basically shoots the kid, and then she's kind of like reliving it, and then Yelena's looking, and it goes back, and then it kind of cuts to her looking at Bob, you know. um, and then like there's a moment where she's like, please no, or whatever, you know, where she's multiple times she kind of relives that memory. It's like in a snowy background, and then she's running to kind of stop it, and she's like, no, no, and she's like, you kill me, and the little girl's kind of like trying to stop her, like, do it or whatever, and it gets like really, really sinister. And then when she tries to run away, the trees kind of come around her and make her watch, you know. And it's like, holy fuck. It is, I love how dark that scene is, and it keeps you gripped and emotionally invested. And Florence Pugh's acting, dramatic acting, is fucking brilliant. And then like the scene gets shot, and it's kind of like a metaphorical thing of, you gotta face your demons to move forward in life. So yeah, I love that aspect. I love what they did with Yelena in this movie. I thought it was great. I thought, you know, they expanded on her relationship with Lexi. Uh, with Alexi. It's Alexi, sorry. I'm trying to, you know, with her running, you know, there's that kind of whole aspect where the team are kind of getting together, you know, and they're all arguing. It's that kind of thing of like, Bucky's like, well, you know, John's like, oh, we got our asses handed to us. You just kicked us. I was like, yeah, we got to figure out something, you know. And then Red Guardians are like, yes, we can do this. We get together. It's like, yeah, we got our asses handed to us. You know, they're all kind of saying that. And it's like, would you all just stop? We are not a team. We're not a team. There's no we. There's no we. There's no you. Right? I haven't heard from you. He's like, Yelena, calm down. He's like, no, I haven't heard from you in over a year, Alexi. I haven't heard from you. You're meant to be my father. I haven't heard from you. Where have you been? And all this stuff. And then, like, she's like, and then, like, I love when John Walker's like, come on, stop it. And it's like, oh, now you're going to act like a good guy now. It's like, come on, it's no need to lose your heads. Like, oh, now you're acting like the nice guy. It's like, no. It's like, you're not even a good person. You're a terrible father. You're a terrible person, terrible husband, terrible father. I'm like, oh, so you get like a great emotional moment, but it's also a little bit of a funny, edgy joke. But it's done well, and it's delivered well in a dramatic way. It's a really well acted scene and a great moment between these characters. And then she's like, why would you say that? And she goes, oh, and like she goes, she goes to Ava. It's like, Ava, I don't know what your problem is. You're not even a good person. And she just goes, bitch. And she goes, see, there you go. We're not a team. There's no us. And they all just walk away. I also love when John Walker's like, oh, look what he did to my shield and shit. Um, bent the fucking shield or whatever. I just thought it was a really well acted scene, and and she walks away, and then you get one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie is Red Guardian actually saying something that connected with me on an emotional level, but also with personal life stuff, that I've gone through and that everyone goes through, because everyone has regrets, you know. So as she's walking away, he's like, Elena, what? I was like, no, I haven't heard from you in a year. Like, what's happening? Ever since this happens, like, it's been hard for me. It's been hard, it was hard for your sister when your sister died, and, life got worse and all that. And they're just like that. And it's like, what's wrong? I love you and all that. And then they're just talking and having this great emotional moment. And then she starts going like, oh, daddy, I feel so alone. She's like, I keep thinking of all the terrible things I done. I sit on my phone all day and just think of all the terrible mistakes I've done. And she's just like, Yelena, you are not your mistakes, right? We all make mistakes. You are not your mistakes. You made it past. You were a child. Blah blah blah. Whatever. And you get moments like that, and you're just kind of like, holy fuck, you know. And he's like, do you know what? One of the best things about you when you were on that Thunderbolts team, football team. It's like, what? It's like, you never gave up. What did you do? You went and you helped people. You led them. You done all this. And she goes, you can do that. And she goes, okay, that was really good. I was like, come on, we can do this. And like that motivates them. And then obviously shit goes sideways, and they kind of look up, and you see the sentry and the void kind of making people disappear, and they're running away. It's like, what are we gonna do? We all have to help. And they're like, oh, that's not good. And then they run back together. The team are all looking up, and they're like, oh, that's not good. Which the team at that point, as I said, which the ones that argue are Elena, Bucky, Ghost, Red Guardian, John Walker. And I just thought the whole finale scene was done beautifully. I thought it was, on the surface it looks, oh, is this going to be the same? No, it really isn't. It's actually quite different, and I really love that. So those scenes are entertaining, and the dramatic, sad, slower moments are so gripping and enjoyable. I also love that this film connects things that have been set up over the past. Hold on. Oh, do you smell that? Hey, right? It connects things that have been set up for a while. Like we finally get to see John Walker again from Falcon and Winter Soldier. They do a really good job of actually reintroducing him and getting us to know him. You know, getting us to know him if you didn't watch that show. They do a good job at getting bringing Red Guardian back, these characters we haven't seen in a long time back and meeting each other. They fix past mistakes, like that fucking Ghost bitch. Not Ghost, sorry. Ghost is great. That fucking Taskmaster fucker. That whole fucking thing. They bring Ghost back. They even show us who bought Avengers Tower. Because that's a question that's been fucking looming since Spider-Man Homecoming. We didn't find out in Far From Home, No Way Home, or any of the other Avengers films. So it's so I love that. I think the whole sequence in the incinerator, so that scene, it actually takes place there for quite a while. It kind of jumps back and forth. She's on the phone to Valentina, and then she sees Ghost kind of walk in. Valentina's kind of telling her about it. As she goes in, there's a great actually shot of her in this kind of elevator lift, whatever. Walks in, and it's just a really, really cool set as well. And as she's kind of looking around out of nowhere, bang, fucking John Walker's there shooting, and then she fucking shoots at him and the fucking dodges the shield and stuff. And then, like, this is like a really great fight scene because then you have like fucking Ghost coming in, like, John Walker throws a knife, she catches it, he's kind of disappearing, punching him. He's like, "Get out of my way!" And he's like, "Oh God, what's happening?" It's like, oh, she goes, "Oh, get over yourself," or whatever. She starts throwing a shield, and just they all start fighting. And then, like, you have Taskmaster shooting the fucking the arrow, and it blows up and shit. And then fighting down, and you see Yelena, and then, like, Taskmaster takes the mask goes off, and he turns to Yelena and goes, "I'm not here for you." And then they're fighting, and you have Ghost fighting Taskmaster, and all kind of just fighting each other, and great fight scene where really great camera work. It's like a very, oh shit, this is a cool action sequence. And out of nowhere, Ghost just appears, shoots Taskmaster in the head. She dies, blood's there, um, or whatever. And then, like, you have the whole, they're kind of looking around and stuff, and then you just hear, "Oh my god," and then fucking Bob throws up. It's like, "Oh my god, did you just kill him? Is he dead?" And it's just like a fucking great scene. I'm like, oh my god. And let's just talk about Bob. Lewis Pullman, right, is phenomenal. He shows that he has so much range in this film. He's so funny, goofy, and lovable, but also can be really menacing when he's the sentry. Um, or like when he's feeling emotional. Like that scene where, they're experimenting on him, and then uh Valentine is like talking to him and like, "Oh, hi Robert, how are you?" And just saying, "Oh," it's like, "Oh, I'm going through a lot, it really hurts." It's like, "Oh, you've suffered with this for a while." It's like, "Yeah, I don't know what to do," and she's just kind of manipulating him, and they're having a conversation, she's getting in his head, and then, like, it's like, I don't know what to do. It's like, "It hurts, depression." It's like, "Yeah." And it's like a really deep conversation. And then she automatically just gets this flashback of, like, her in a different country when she was a kid, talking to her father. I think her father getting shot or something. And she's looking and she's like, "Oh my god." Like, so showing that even she has demons. And, like, great kind of dramatic, dark scene, and great subtitle scene as well. Um, she's like, "Yeah, whatever." And we get scenes with her. But, like, it's such a great emotional moment, like some of the dialogue he delivers and stuff and all that. And then she's talking to Songbird, and she's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, it was played by that girl that's in Blockers. I don't know her name. I should have looked it up for the review." And she's like, "Oh yeah, she suffered with depression, this, that, and the other." Like, she's just telling them about her, and then, like, all that stuff. And before that, they're talking in, like, government scenes, and they're talking about what their next move is and what they have to do with the fucking team, and find them and blah blah and bring them in and all this other shit. Um. So yeah, I love that aspect. Um. But back to Lewis Pullman, he does a great job at the emotional scenes, the comedic moments. The whole sequence in the incinerator is hilarious. It is so funny. It is so, like, the characters bounce off each other so fucking well. And, like, John Walker, you love him in this. Like, this is coming from me, who just thought he was awful in Falcon Winter Soldier. Not that he was awful, but I found him irritating in that it's not even like, you know what, it wasn't his fault. And I'm not one of these people that goes, "Oh, he done something, he's a dick." No. It's just like, I found him irritating. But that whole sequence in the incinerator is great. Where they're all kind of like at each other, like, it cuts back to a different scene, and it kind of cuts back, and it's like, she goes, "Who are you?" It's like, "I told you I'm Bob." It's like, "Yeah, well, I'm not getting a straight answer out of you." And he's just kind of being like a dick. He's like, "Yeah, well, you know what? I don't trust you, Bobby. I don't trust you, Bobby. What are you doing, Bobby? You said that. Stop saying your name," and all this, like, And he's just kind of like insulting him. and saying, "I have to take you in," I'm required to do this responsibility or whatever, and you have Elena and Ghost just laughing and all that, and it's like, and like, there's a great, there's a great kind of moment where there's sort of like where he's kind of like insulting, like he's insulting them, and like he's like, "What are you, a shield reject?" And you robbed a bunch of labs. Like, "Oh yeah, and you probably killed how many people, you know, in the red room or whatever." And he goes, "Yeah," says the guy that publicly executed someone. It's like, "Yeah, you're like the whatever," He's like, and it, like it's funny, and then the whole moment where he's like, it's like, "Oh, you're like the dime store Captain America." He's like, "Well, I just want to let you know I was like the official Captain America." She goes, "Yeah, for like 2 seconds until you like publicly executed someone." And then I love like the whole thing of like the fire as it is, like, what is happening? How'd you get here? And like Bobby's like, "Oh, I don't know, I don't remember." And then like the whole fucking thing, it's like, what is going on? It's like, we have to figure out to get out of here. It's whatever. It's like he says and she goes, "Do you not think it's okay?" She goes, "Everyone put weapons away. I'm not going to shoot." It's like, "I think it's safe to say that we've all worked for Valentina in some sort of capacity." It's like, "Yeah." It's like, "I was sent here to kill you." It's like, "Yeah, I'm not believing that." It's like, "No, I was sent here to kill you." It's like, "I was sent here to kill you. I was sent here to kill you." It's like, "Yeah." It's like, "Look, I think she wants us gone." It's like, "I'm not buying that." It's like, "No, idiot. I think she wants to kill us. This is incinerator." It's like, "It's not an incinerator." It's like, "What do you think it is?" "It's just really warm." It's like, "Okay, yeah." And then it's just really funny in the build up as the fire, it's getting hot. It's like, "Yeah, it's really hot." He goes, "Okay, it's an incinerator." It's like, "Yeah, no shit, genius." And then they're trying to get out, and you get like 10 scenes like, right, Ghost, you go up there, Ghost disappears to try and figure out what's happening. They think for a while, "Oh shit, did she just leave us?" Then she comes back, and there's a great moment where they run, it kind of jumps, there's like I think sort of an explosion. And there's a moment where they're looking up an elevator shaft. And like we actually get to see John Walker do like a super jump, which was pretty cool. And they're like, "Oh, you should do that again," or whatever. And then Bob is like, "Oh, I have an idea." And then they have this funny moment where they're kind of like, it's kind of like the scene in Emperor's New Groove when like Coop's going Pachi or like on the fucking mountain. And it's a bit like the scene in Toy Story 2. Um, yeah, so like that scene was funny. Where they're just kind of all like talking to each other and insulting each other, like, "Oh, shut up, shut up, shut up." And I also love when I think it's either when he gets to the top or after when Bob just goes, "Yeah, you're an asshole." That was just really funny. Um, but the whole moment where they're like, "Cucumber, cucumber," and he's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "Oh no, I just have to avoid a sneeze. It tricks my brain into thinking that I'm not going to sneeze or something like that." And they all say, "Cucumber, cucumber," or whatever. And then the whole thing of like, I done a lot of bad things as a kid, bad things, and then John Walker's like, "Well, you're a kid, it wasn't your fault." It's like, "Oh, now you're the sympathetic guy." No, just saying. Um, and they get up to the top or whatever, and I do like that scene where there's a really funny moment, a dark moment, like where he's like, "I have this pain, this emotional problem," Sentry's like to Elena, and he's like, "Oh, this like emotional problem or whatever," and this kind of issues. It feels like this emptiness, and she goes, "This void," and it's like, "Yeah." It's like, how do you get rid of it? And she just goes, "You stuff it down like really, really, really low until you don't feel anything." I just found that to be funny. I like when they get to the top moment. They're kind of like, "Oh, how do we get out of here?" They're all talking, and John Walker and fucking Elena insulting each other, um, which I just found funny. Um, and then John has this great flashback where he's like arguing with his wife, or whatever, and he's on the phone and he's looking at like the photo of, you know, the scene from Falcon and Winter Soldier, and he's like, look, you're not watching them, you're not watching them. It's like, I am, I'm watching him, or whatever. There, I'm doing it, like basically just being an asshole, picking his baby up or whatever. And he's looking at it, and you're like, fuck, that, you know, he really acted a certain way, and they're kind of looking at Bob, and Bob is like, oh, you know. So they're arguing, and then you get the whole government scene, you know, like Fontaine, or Valentina Fontaine, whatever. She's there with all these people. They're talking, whatever. And they're like, "Who is that guy?" Like they're kind of looking at the cameras. Like there's a moment where they're in the limo, and they're like, "I think they might have made friends with each other." And she's like, "What?" And she's like, "Who the hell is that guy?" You know what I mean? I thought that was quite funny. Um, Although I find her very annoying. I'm not gonna lie. I find her so fucking irritating in this movie. Um, I might have also said in the past that I like Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I don't really anymore. Um, so sorry, my jaw's hurting. I was really hoping this doesn't happen in movie reviews. But anyway, yeah, a lot of great moments like that. Um, but then, like, you know, they're all just talking about this government stuff. They're like, all right, we got to go in here. And you get a great action sequence where these guys are kind of coming in. You know, Black Ops kind of goes, like, come on, you know, with lasers. And they're like, I have an idea. And then, you know, him and Yelena, Ghost, and Bob are running at one point. And then John Walker fucks them all up. And then they start kind of, you know, they all kind of start fighting them off. And then, like, she starts shooting. But I think John Walker's just done off screen, and like he kind of takes it off. It's like, it's me, it's John. It's like, where were you? Where were you? I was going this way, you know. So you get really funny moments like that are also cool. Then it leads to a moment where like they have an idea, and it's like a really cool scene where they kind of get into these like the clothes they put on the agents' clothes because they're obviously there. Um, you know, and then like as they're walking around, they're trying to escape, and then you know they get into this kind of thing. They're like trying to look for. They're like, here, I found this jeep. They get in, they drive, and then you get you get this really funny scene where like they're like this guy is like they're all just talking. This guy's like, show us your credentials. He's like, what? It's like, can I see some ID? And then John Walker's just like, no. I'm just like, oh, this is a great plan. Yeah, you know. He's like, what are you doing? Show me your credentials. Like, no, I don't want to. It's just like, just a really funny scene where like they're kind of like back and forth. Um, so it's like, I need to see some ID. No, you know, they're kind of like talking for a bit, and it's like a bit of build up. And anyway, you get a fucking amazing scene where Bob walks out. They all fucking shoot at him. He falls down. They're like, what's happening? Then he rises up and he flies off all the way up into the sky. They're like, what the fuck? So then they, you know, then they drive off. Then they're in the desert. They're kind of bonding in the desert, talking like about Bob. Like, oh, he was experimented on. What are they doing? You know, having a clue. And then they see, they see the fucking limo, and they're kind of ducking down, and they're like, "Oh God, duck down!" And then she goes, "Oh no!" And then it's Red Guardian, and he gets out, and he's like, "Yelena, Yelena, Val wants to do this and all this." Um, I thought that was funny. Also, do love the scene where um, Yelena goes to Red Guardian's house. Red Guardian's just watching TV with like him in the Soviet Union or whatever it was, and he's eating shit, and he's like, "I click leave on porch. Your subordinates will be reported to DoorDash HQ," and she's like, "Alexi, it's me. Open up." And he goes and like fucking brushes his teeth with fucking dish soap and all this stuff. It's like, Yelena, come in. I was on an important call, highly classified. And you have like this back and forth conversation. Looks at like the old football photo and stuff. And he's like, how long has it been? It's been a year. And then she's like, oh, do you feel fulfilled? And it's like, oh no, so full, so filled or whatever. And he's like, oh, I work for Valentina, I think it was like, oh, please, can I work? I would kill to work for it. It's like, I thought you said you're fulfilled. It's like, I'm not. Look at me. I'm miserable. It was like, that was funny. It's like, I would kill to work for it. It's like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's like, really? It's like, did you ever just feel like empty? Like you don't know your purpose? And like very fucking deep shit. That's a funny scene. And then that's when it leads to her like ringing Valentina saying she doesn't want to do that anymore. Um, but yeah, I like that. I love when they get in the limo and he's kind of saying, Ghost, you reappear, disappear, He's just rambling fucking nonsense, really. And then he's like, John Walker, you get the super soldier serum. You want to be Captain America. And she's like, oh my God. And then she goes on about the Thunderbolts football team. It's like, oh my God. And it's like, there was a girl who pooped. There was a girl who pooped. And she mentioned that earlier. It's also funny when uh, they're driving. It's like, Alexi, if you've slept, it's like, I have not slept. I am too young to sleep on this. And I am ready to die. And he's like, John's like, well, I'd rather not like to die at all. Please, thank you, And then it leads to an amazing fucking chase scene where these fucking army things are coming and like just shooting at him. And it's like really great. And they're like, he's trying to press something and then this fucking music starts playing like these disco lights. And it's really, really funny. It's like explosions. Like, go faster. It's like, I'm going as fast as you can. It's like, and don't worry, she's bulletproof. Then it shoots, and it's like, what happened to bulletproof? It's bulletproof-ish, It's like it smashes, and he's kind of like dodging them with a shield, And then you have this whole fight scene that he like lights this thing. He's like, there you go, and then it like ends up hitting the thing, and it goes on fire, and then the fire just gets put out. And it's like, oh shit, like to the army thing. So that goes on for a while. Then we get an amazing scene where the fucking thing gets like gets shot, blown up, or whatever. Army truck goes off, and then Bucky is there looking like a fucking badass as the Winter Soldier. And he's like, it's Bucky, Grabs this thing, fucking gets a rope, causes it to flip over, gets the fucking gun, shoots the thing, and they go, uh-oh, and then bam, explosion, limo flips over. Then he ties them up and is talking to them. He's like, I need your help. It's like, Bucky, why do you need us? And then he's kind of saying, like, Val's up to something. And then, like, he's like, I need your help. It's like, what do you need your help for? It's like, and he's talking about like Sentry, and he's like, yeah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. He's like, no, it's true, it's true. And then he gets a call or whatever. And I found the scene where they're tied up and he's talking to them quite funny. Um, and like, it's true. It's like, okay. And so they untie him. I love when they're in the van. Is it the van or the fucking truck? And they're all bonding. It's like, oh, I got this gun. It's like, like this is mine. And Ghost and Elaine are kind of comparing them to each other, and so is John Walker. He's like, I like this helmet. It's like, I think it looks cool. It's like, do you think it looks cool? Do you think it's cool? It's like, I mean, if you do, And then I like when Bucky and Red Guardian are talking. And it's like, oh, so Winter Soldier, cool. What kind of super soldier serum did you have? I was, I was in the Soviet Union. I was the answer to Captain America. What kind of, soldier serum did you have? And he's like, Hydra, fancy, So I love that. But one of my favorite aspects about all of these scenes that I've just mentioned is the characters bonding in the limo. They get to know each other in the van, getting to know each other, getting to fucking see these people on screen together is cool. Like, we've obviously seen Bucky be part of Team Cap, and we've seen Bucky be part of like other like team of the Avengers, like in Infinity War and Endgame. But to see him in a smaller scale team is cool because that's how he was in the comics as well. Um, so I love all that stuff. I love, like, there's even little character moments where Val is having that fucking fake event party, and they're like, oh, these are the Chitauri handcuffs that were used in the Battle of New York, and then like you see Loki's scepter, and then Bucky's kind of around, and he's looking at like the Avengers logo, and then he's talking to Songbird, and he's like, "Oh, it feels like forever ago when the Avengers came," and blah blah blah. It's like, yeah, it's crazy, you know. And then the guy's like, she's like, "Oh, you know," she's talking to the guy, and he's just like, "Oh, this is a nice fake event, Val." And then they're talking at like he goes and talks to Bucky. He's like, "Bucky, I got intel. We can help bring Val down and stuff like that." Um, you know, there's a lot of great moments like that. Um, you know, I also just think that that whole set is really nice looking, like aesthetically. They're in a really kind of fancy place. I thought Songbird was great. I love the moments where like they're in the kind of government places or they just kind of like talking on the computer and she's kind of nervous to talk to Val and it's like do this, do this, do this, and then they kind of there's a scene where they're in the desert and they get in a helicopter. They're kind of talking, great dialogue scene. And she goes, I want a coffee, okay? Da, da, da. You know, you make the best coffee. I love a cup of coffee or whatever. And then saying, like, I'm not paying you to do this, you know, just being bitchy or whatever. But those scenes are great, and you do believe that Songbird is nervous. Um, you know, that whole sequence is good. I do like the moment where Bucky as well near the start is kind of walking. You see a great shot of his arm and like Congressman Barnes, what can you say? And then he just talks a lot of shit like, oh, you know, we're trying to sort out this issue. It's a very worrying matter and a worrying issue. We're gonna talk more about it. Then you have that whole sequence in the courtroom with him there and they're talking just all this stuff. And then they mentioned like, oh, a lot of bad events have happened. Like recently, our president turned into a red rage monster, which was obviously the events of Captain America: Brave New World. And then they're just talking about shit and the crimes, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not worried at all." And then right after, it cuts to a scene of her going, "Shit, I think they have something on me." And they talk. There's a scene where they're talking, and it's funny. But she also does say this really dumb joke where she's like, "Oh, it's not Fontaine. You forgot that like he's not called the you know." I'm just like, "Oh, shut the fuck up, bitch," you know. But yeah, I thought as a whole, found her character so irritating. Uh, she does fine acting wise. She's just a very generic villain. They've set her up for quite a while because she's at the end of Black Widow. She was in Falcon and Winter Soldier, and she was in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. Which I kind of have to do that, I guess. But every scene she's in, it's annoying. You know, there's the moment where she goes onto the Avengers Tower with Songbird, and like, oh, they'll come and you hear the Avengers din 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 din, you know, theme a little bit. Um, but as I said, like a lot of these scenes are fun. Like I even like little moments when Bucky is like making food, you know, and he's dropping it, and then like he fucking takes his fucking arm out of the dishwasher, puts it on, and then Songbird rings him and they're talking, and it's like, you know, oh, I was in high school when the Avengers came, and he's like, oh, I was 90, you know. And it's like funny jokes like that aren't cringe, and it's like stuff that like is important to the story and great character moments. You know, I think the whole sequence in the void is brilliant. I think you know when Bob is just sitting there and he's like, "Oh, it'll stop in a minute," and you know his parents are fighting and stuff, and Elena's going into different rooms and smacking and all that, and then eventually, when you know New York is basically being covered in this void, and she goes to the rest of them like, "I have to go in there." They're like, "No," and she walks in. Is great, and the rest of them like, "We have to go in there," and like even Red Guardian's reaction, like David Harbour's acting is brilliant. He's like, Elena, no, and it's like you feel the emotion that he's feeling in that moment. But they all go in, they have this kind of moment where they all bond and they start fighting through the rooms, and it's a great like kind of practical effects and then like breaking through the door, like to the walls. There's a moment where she kind of breaks through the wall and the camera kind of slants. And I love where they're fighting them and like the fucking guys with the chickens. Like, if you hit me with that sign one more time, Bobby, and he's like, I was on meth, and then he knock him out. Which they do mention he was on meth and that he was worked as like a chicken or something. Which I didn't actually notice that line until I rewatched it. But that's a great moment where they're going through the rooms, and then the moment where they're in that kind of place and you see the evil version of Bob, and they kind of, a bunch of stuff is kind of like flying and levitating, and like Florence Pugh does this real great practical fucking badass flip over all this stuff, and then the stuff starts hitting all of the members. Bob goes up to beat the fucking shit out of the evil version of him. They eventually stop him from getting consumed because it's about to consume him. They stop him. They get out. They defeat him. I do love the moment as well where they're like, we need a plan to get into this place, and they just drive in the fucking they drive the truck into the Avengers Tower, and they fucking fight all these motherfuckers. They go bang 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 bang, and they're like, Jesus, I left the door open, just come on in, and then Bucky just knocks the guy out. They go up, we get this whole scene of Val talking to them and like, oh, you've all made friends, so adorable, you know, and they're all kind of like chatting with each other, and they're like, we're taking you in, Val, and she goes, let me present to you what I've been working on. He's all the Avengers rolled into one. It is the century, right? And he's like, take these criminals down, and she's like, you don't want to do this, Bob. He's like, I don't want to hurt you guys. Why don't you just turn yourselves in? You know what I mean? And then you also have that whole moment where she goes, who's this little Santa? To David Harbour, which is obviously a reference to Violent Night. And he's like, don't mess with the Thunderbolts. And I love when he says Thunderbolts after, and he goes, and Bucky's like, I don't even know what that means. But he goes to run, and then like he fucking flings him out the window, and then like goes to John Walker, fights him. He's like fucking appearing, beats the shit out of Ghost, beats the shit out of Bucky, beats up Yelena trying to jump on them, gets John's shield, fucking bends it, and she's like, stop Bob, trying to like electrocute him, beats them all up. That goes on for a while, rips off Bucky's arm, smacks him across the face, just beats them all up, and it's amazing. After that, there's a great moment with Valentina saying, he's like, I need you to do this. It's like, why? I have all this power. Why should I listen to you? It's like, you have to do what I say, Robert. It's like, well, I don't want to. And she goes, oh shit. Tries to detonate something, grabs her. Then Songbird like fucking tasers on me, falls. And she's like, good girl, you came to your senses. Then he goes outside. You get a great moment where a helicopter's trying to take him down, and then doesn't, and the guy falls, and the helicopter blows up and shit. And then like he becomes all dark, and you do see like his kind of like outline of his eyes, and then you get this great scene of the Void getting people, and actually the fucking hero saving people. You know, like this thing is about to come and crush them, and the fucking this kind of bus is about to stop, and it's about to crush someone, and then Bucky comes and fucking punches it out of the way, or it's like a car punches it out of the way, and in the moment where the little girl's about to get crushed by something, Red Guardian goes to save her, a brick breaks on him, and he goes, you're safe, little one, then disappears. I'm like, oh. But then at the end of the film, and the Void disappears, everyone is safe. But it's like scenes like that are just great, you know. There's the great fight scenes, great finale, intense moments, funny, a genuinely funny MCU film that had a vision, a style, a feel, had that old Marvel feel, you know. I really didn't want this review to be this long. Fuck. But anyway, so hang on. Oh, anyway. So yeah, I fucking loved those parts of the film. Um, it's a fun, fucking entertaining movie. And it's fun, it's entertaining, it's emotional, it's sad, it's funny, it's dark. Action's great. Some of the CGI is not great. Some of it is great. Like I think some of the fire CGI with the fucking the moments, where the fucking arrow hits it, whatever, isn't the best. Um, I do like that we get Bob's mental health. They're like, oh, he suffers with depression and this, that, and the other, and he's even saying to Yelena in the incinerator, and even says to Val as well, oh, I get these blank spots. I don't remember certain things. They're fuzzy. My head hurts. He says that to Val, and she's just being very manipulative and stuff like that. Um, you know, I I just love a lot of those moments. You know, they all become a team at the end of the film. Uh, and I just love that it was like kind of done stuff, something different, but also done similar things as well. Um, I'm trying to make sure I'm talking about everything. Like, it even gives us closure on certain things. Like, even Ava, we know now, like, without her even needing to say it, we know that she's not in pain anymore because obviously she was in a lot of pain in Ant Man and the Wasp. But at the end of that film, he went in and got stuff in the quantum realm, but obviously, you know, they were snapped out of existence, so he was stuck in there for 5 years. But knowing that she got the quantum parts and now she's not in pain. But it also just developed on characters. Like, I love John Walker in this. He's funny, he's entertaining. Wyatt Russell did a fucking brilliant job with the performance. They developed on his character. I like the chemistry he had with Hannah Kamen. I even liked seeing Ghost and Bucky interact outside the Avengers Tower. I was like, oh, we have to go after her and all. Getting to see these characters interact. Even like the dark jokes, like Bucky going, oh, I have a totally okay mind. You know what I mean? I have a totally clean mind. You know, brilliant. Like the way it connects things together again. You know, uh, yeah, it's stuff that was actually genuinely funny and fun and great costumes and development, and even the moment where she's like, "You can't stuff it down, but I promise you it will get lighter." To Bob, great moments like that. Uh, and overall, a great fucking film. Great music, great references to previous films like The Avengers, and even like TV shows like Falcon and Winter Soldier, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Spider-Man Homecoming. Um, oh, when the Avengers came to New York and all that, the New York attack. Um, like even references to Black Widow and stuff and closure on certain things, and it kind of sets up in the right way what's coming next. You know what I mean? Um, I'm just trying to make sure I covered everything I wanted to talk about. Um, the only other thing I will say, right, I have another issue with the movie is that they never explain what happened to Yelena's adopted mother, aka Red Guardian's ex-wife. I'm assuming ex-wife. They don't even mention her. They don't actually mention her at all. I'm like, what the fuck happened to her? Where did she go? Did they get divorced? I'm assuming they did. Did she die? I don't think she died or whatever, but you know, um, but yeah, but I thought it developed the characters well. Um, I thought, like as I said, Wyatt Russell was hilarious and really great in this film and dramatic. Even the whole "I know you" Bucky. He's like, yeah, yeah, John, I do know you, and all that. Um, and it was great. And then the whole ending where they run up to Valentina, like, we're taking you in and all this shit, and like, no, no, and then they walk into like a press conference, like, oh, together behind the scenes, I've been putting together a team for the past couple of years. Please welcome the new Avengers. They're like, what? And then she's just kind of looking at like Bob or whatever, and she goes, "We own you now, Val." And you hear the dun 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 dun. Then you get a great, one of the best credit scenes as well, where you have all these kind of photos of all the different characters, and like newspapers are like "Not My Avengers" and all this, and then like you have, um, the funny scene where like John Walker's on the bench shield or whatever, and they do mention like we will be the heroes on the Wheaties box, you know. Um, they say that I think in the limo and in the tower. That's what Red Guardian says, and then the moment where he's like in the supermarket in the post credit scene goes up and he's like, "Hey, you gonna buy that cereal?" He's like, "No." And he's kind of looking at this woman, and he's like putting the cereal box that has all of them next to it, and he's like, "That's me on the box," and walks off, and then you get the "and we can build this thing together," which that song has been used in two movies this year. But anyway, guys, I think Thunderbolts is great. I think it is biggest one of the biggest surprises. It is a movie that has a lot of style, fun, emotion, action, comedy, drama, brilliant emotional acting, comedic acting. The characters bounce off each other so well, like comedically and dramatically and emotionally, and they feel like a fucking family. It feels like that dynamic from Guardians of the Galaxy. If they actually feel like friends, where it's not like the Avengers who feel like co-workers. These fuckers actually feel like friends, you know? Um, was it Doomblazer that said that? And I also heard someone at the screening saying that. But I do agree with that statement. Um, to a degree, to a degree. Anyway, I give the movie a 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10. I don't think it's perfect. I've two minor nitpicks with it. Actually, no, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Yeah. Okay, that's the review part over. The next part of it, I'm going to talk about the second post-credit scene, which I'm convinced is a scene from Avengers Doomsday, but I could be wrong. You cut to 14 months later. You got a great like Avengers kind of logo that opens up, and then like Yelena's basically talking to uh Bucky, John Walker, and Ghost about like, oh, I don't get it. Like, why does Sam Wilson want to do that? Like, it's ridiculous or whatever. It's like, well, and Bucky's like, well, he does have a shield. It's like, John Walker's like, well, I have a shield too. He's like, well, it's a shitty shield. It's a great shield, Bucky. And they're basically talking about, oh, if we have one team called the Avengers, and if he's putting together a team that are the Avengers, we're the Avengers, then that are called the Avengers, and who are the real Avengers? And then like John Walker's like, well, it's clearly not us. Judging by some of the nasty memes I've read online, it's clearly not us. While he's sitting down on the chair, it's like we've no credibility. It's like which we've had very and Ghost like which we've had very little to begin with, and they're all just kind of talking. Um, and then like Bucky, she's like, "Didn't you talk to him already?" And he's just like, "Yeah, it didn't go well." And he's like, she goes, he's already filed for copyright or whatever. He's like, did he? Man. I can also just point out as well, right? The look of this scene is beautiful, like, but you can tell it's from a different movie. It doesn't look like aesthetically the way that Thunderbolts, the film itself, looked. It looks different. Like it's greeny kind of yellowy textures, beautiful looking. But this scene was actually directed by the Russo brothers on the set of Doomsday, which I already had that feeling before they said that. But you have like they're all wearing these new costumes with the Avengers logos. Bucky's one like the leather jacket and the Avengers logo looks class. Um, and I love like we're running out of space. We also have this space crisis as well. It's like space, we've plenty of space, loads of space. Like and like that's what John says, and Elena goes outer space. Like oh, he also has this cap on as well, which is funny. And then you get this whole moment where Red Guardian comes. He's like, guys, I've got a solution to the problem. We are Avengers with a Z. You know, it's like, no, it's like I feel like the bottom of baby seal. It's like I don't want to touch a baby seal, but feel that. That's funny. It's like, I see you over there. He's like, Sam Wilson does not know what he's talking about. It's like, I see you over there, Bob, reading a book. It's like the Sentry. It's like, you can go and solve this space part. It's like, sorry guys, I can't be the Sentry without the other side coming out or whatever. It's like, what do we do? Ride up Bob into space? He's like, yes, I imagine Red Guardian riding Bob up into the sky and all that stuff. That was funny. But anyway, it's going on for a while. They're like, something entered an atmosphere. They're looking at it, and then this is such a badass fucking scene. They get this like because she's like, run a threat analysis. It's like, running threat analysis, like something's entering the atmosphere. So they open up the screen. They're like, what is that? And they're all kind of looking, and you just hear it's like, oh, that's a cool ship. And then out of nowhere, the ship turns, and you just see the Four, and it's the Fantastic Four ship, and you hear the theme song that's in that film. The and then she's kind of looking like, Yelena's looking like, what the hell? Then it's like, Thunderbolts and Bob will return. Guys, brilliant post-credit scene, but it's a long post-credit scene. I think it's actually the longest one since Spider-Man Far From Home. I think this was a longer scene, and I was like, this is definitely in Doomsday. Guys, I love this film. I'm sorry this review ended up being long. I had a lot to say. I'm still trying to get back into the flow of doing movie reviews how I did when I first started this channel. My OCD has been kind of interfering a little bit. As you can probably tell, I'm going to try my best to go back to the way I wanted my reviews to be. There will eventually be a shorter. Once I review every film in my collection, I am going to start re-reviewing stuff. I'll still keep my old reviews up, but I'll do a shorter review. Like, I'll do a shorter review of this film in maybe a few years' time. So yeah, that's basically it. I'll see you guys later. Hope you enjoyed the review, and bye-bye.